Good morning, YouTube. This is Charles, Wildcat Willie's older brother. We're getting Saturday, the let's see what the date is here, the 30th. Giving you a little report. You remember that fuel pump at the end of the last video, and I will put a link down in the description. But I actually had two of those, one upstairs in the parts bin, and I took them apart. It took me about 10 minutes and scrapped them out, and got a big $5.05 for the copper and the cast aluminum that they were built out of. Thought you might find that interesting. You might get a laugh out of it. Give you a quick overview. Went and got parts for our project today. Got 25 feet of fuel line. Don't know if I'll be using that or not. I bought the whole roll so I could return it if I don't need it, because from Wildcat Willie's 510 we have some fuel lines over here with fittings on them. We have another return line in here that was on his diesel 510, so we'd probably be using the resources we have. I have not been liking the fuel bulb replacement, sediment bulb, because I think that's just kind of crude the way they cut that off. I checked at Napa, it's the exact same, that hasn't been modified. So probably don't know what I'm going to do there yet. We're cleaning the old ones in carburetor soak. We got our fittings here that we bought so we can bushing down on our pump to this here. That's the bushings for that. Barbed fittings after that. And then if I use that Massey hose, we need these. I forget what they called them, JTC fittings or something like that. So that's where we're at. Okay, we are cleaning up some parts. I'm going to spare you the monotony of cleaning parts. Got the fuel pump cleaned and ready to install. The mounting bracket cleaned. In the last video, in the comments section, someone asked what the gallons and stuff are. I don't know. I'm going to call Napa and get a check on that and let you know in the comments. I haven't forgot about you. We got another one setting in here, soaking of a sediment bulb. Got another one from the parts combine. She's pretty crusty. Between all of the ones I have used, I'm going to try to get one that has a strainer that's closed. I like that. I think it's a good idea. I don't like the newer cheapened up ones. So we'll keep you posted. Going to keep cleaning parts. Okay, YouTube, we're going to begin the installation of the fuel line. I have a fitting here. We're going to try the Massey one with the crimped fittings. Came from Massey. A little worried that it might be short. We will have to see. I did measure it, but it might work, might not. So we're going to try that and see where we're at. Okay, I have the initial hose that I like. Don't know if it's going to be long enough. I did measure it. It's got the fittings on it I like, and we got all our brass fittings from Napa. Just putting everything up here finger tight right now. This is, I would call it a flared fitting, and this is going to go in here, and so we're going to put that on. Sorry, one-handed action there. We're going to put that on and work on snaking it around under the motor and see how this fits up, because it would be nice to use the resources we have and go from there. You will have to forgive the audio today. Not only do we have the heaters, but we have rain coming in. So just giving you a heads up where we're at today. We're going to try to get this fuel line installed. Been cleaning parts and getting everything prepared. Okay, I have it now under the engine, now laying across the top of the thrasher belt. I've got to go behind that big pulley there and come down around through here and between the saddle hopper and the main thrashing area of the combine, and come back out of here and wind up down here where we're going to mount our pump. So I think we're going to have enough fuel line. So we'll see how it goes. Okay, now we want to feed this down here behind the main thrasher pulley. They're actually coming out right here, which is fine. Hard to do this one-handed with you guys along for the ride, but we're going to make it. Okay, this is looking pretty promising. Of course, we're going to have to go back and clip all of this with those clips that we took off. We got to get under there, right there by that hole. We have to get it right down along there and bringing it around underneath here. Okay, back down low here. We've got to now fish it behind the variator. Got the variator right there, variates our speed. There's that one clamp, if you remember from the previous video, that's just folded over, thank goodness, so we didn't have to climb into the combine. So there we go there. Now we're coming back from under there, back here between the grain saddle tank and looking very promising. What you can see back there looks good. And oh yes, we have plenty of fuel line to work here. This is going to be nice. We got an original Massey fuel line. Don't know when that was made, but it's finally getting to be used, and we'll be able to return our fuel hose to Napa. So that line there that was laying around just made us about 24 bucks. Okay, like we said, it appears we have enough fuel line. So I'm going to start up at the top, up where we were at the beginning, and start clamping it. I want to thank my father-in-law. He's over here helping polish some parts. We're getting the clamps polished, and Will's working on his dozer project. We've been cleaning sediment bulbs, and we are cleaning the clamps and the hardware and getting ready to reinstall a good fuel line. Give you an update on the fuel tank. Took it down to, I think it's called a Holmes Radiator in Effingham. They can clean it out with muriatic acid. They are going to give it an acid bath. They're going to cut a couple holes in the back side of it and get it thoroughly cleaned, and then we're going to line it. So that is an update on the fuel tank itself. Okay, we have our first clamp that my father-in-law cleaned up. We have that on, looking good. We're still, this is just finger tight. Put a little slack here in case we were to have it go bad or something and we need to use a barbed fitting. So that's why that's that way. Now I'm going to proceed underneath the engine back there, and we're going to lock down with another clamp, hit into the frame right here where the engine bolts, but back there. So everything appears to be coming along nicely. Quick little side note, the scourge of Massey combines, the old 300s, 410s, 510s, maybe even the newer ones, I don't know. Fine threaded bolts, always a pain. This one I can't get rid of. It screws down to that motor mount, so it must have a nut or it's threaded, welded on the back side where I can't get to. Normally I change everything out to coarse thread as I redo it, unless I run into this situation. Just a quick side note. Okay, we're in the belly of the beast. This is that bolt I was telling you about right here. We're going to put some never sees on it because it would be terrible if this were to twist off. So now we have to put our clamp on the fuel line. and we're going to clamp it down right there. So we have prepare to get covered in never sees. Once you take the cap off, you're done. And put that right there. Won't take much probably. Get our lock washer installed. And here we go. Now I'll get my ratchet. We don't want any tension on the line. A little bit underneath there. And get my ratchet and be right back. And keep our line straight. Put a little bind up in the motor there. See, you got to be able to climb into these things when you work on them. There we go. Getting firm now. It's loose there. I want to bring it down right about there. And there we go. Not too tight, but it's snug. We got our never sees on it. One clamp done. Now we have to come back into here and do another one. Okay, had a little break for lunch, and we now have come back in and bolted this one on tight. We're ready to proceed down behind the pulley. Want to get that close in there so that it ain't rubbing on this and wear a hole right through it. So now we'll proceed down below. Okay, one clip at a time. We have this to where it won't get hit by the pulley. I think I'm still maybe going to drill a hole and put a zip tie over here in this little lip. But that'll be at the end. We've got the fold over clamp right there in position. We're coming down and around. We got one more clamp to put here, and then one more behind the saddle crossover back in there. Okay, quick little recap. We got our clamp in, got new hardware. Get rid of those fine threaded bolts anywhere you can. Coming back around the hopper, we have it hooked back up there. We are ready to be in our fuel pump, which we're going to mount to here. So we'll have our fuel pump connected into here, and we'll get onto that next. Okay, I'm going to use the stand here and talk about the parts. I have all day long been contemplating what to use. This one I don't like. It doesn't have any strainer on it at all. It's in the. But when I took these fittings out, this thread does not match what I'm working with, and went and bought. So, setting that aside, I have a sediment bowl kit, 2 of them. I've got 2 of them. Can return one if I want to. I think I'm going to go with the original. I have it cleaned. I really like this strainer. I've taken this all apart here and cleaned it. This is what one would look like. We had several for parts. Took the other one off the parts combine and cleaned the bowls, different things like that. So, going back with the original, little concerned. I don't see, maybe somebody can enlighten me, how to change. There's a little washer under here, packing. But you'd have to grind this off, take it off, put a new one on, and then I don't know how you'd flare that. to get it back on. So clean this up real good. It works great. It still feels firm. That's off. This would be on. So I'm going with it. Got a backup here if I need it. Glass cleaned up perfectly, no chips. This cleaned up perfectly. I have a kit here from Napa. It's a screen and gasket kit, 2 1/8 OD, 3/8 center hole. It says it fits a lot of tractors, so it's just the aftermarket S.65544 screen kit. I'm going to put that together. Have to set it on the shelf once it's finished because we're waiting on the fuel tank. I have all my fittings here. Have the fuel pump cleaned up. Lost the Carter wording there when I cleaned it up. I took it out of the mount here so that you can see that. Plus we're going to drill that mount on today. Had to get these bushings here to bush this down so that we could get our barbed fittings into that from the fuel tank and the inline filter. The other bushing here will go here so that you can, we'll screw the fuel pump, or the fuel line that we just installed, excuse me, into this. So that's what we're working on. Parts are all cleaned up. Been a little tedious today, cleaning everything, soaking it, carburetor soak. But we're cleaned up, we're ready to go. We have a ton of spare parts here from old sediment bowls. So that's where we're at. And we'll begin to mount the fuel bracket. Okay, I thought before I mounted the fuel thing, I would see about putting this kit in the sediment bowl. Got our copper screen here. This looks good here. Don't want to bend it. Would be nice if it didn't roll up on us. That is a perfect fit. Now we're going to put our new gasket in here. This to me feels a little thick. Here. And it feels a little thick. It does fit in there nicely. And I'd like to see the bulb go down in there more. It's that simple right there. Let's see about putting this on. Screw this way down in there. And get this situated, pulled apart. And, let's see, maybe we better put this on first. There we go. There we go. That over, swing it around, and pull that up like that. Looks pretty good. You can see that it's going to let the fuel down in the center hole. Fuel is going to come down into here. Pressure is going to force it out, come out here. You can see the top of the copper screen there. And we won't know for sure how this is all going to react until we install it in the tank that is out for cleaning. It's that simple. We have them degunked. We soaked them in carburetor soak for quite a while. We cleaned all this, took it all apart, polished it up. This feels real good, but we won't really know on this packing until afterwards. That's off, and I really like this stringer effect here, better than this new stuff. The man at the auto parts store said I wouldn't have to worry because the sediment will come down the bottom. And he's right if you're setting still, but if you're going over the fields, back and forth, on a side of a hill, going up a hill, that sediment's going to be sloshing around in the tank. So even though I'm having the tank completely cleaned out, they're going to put 2 holes in the tank. They said they will boil it out with muriatic acid. I've seen that on YouTube, but that's something I don't want to play with. It's going to be lined, so I'm looking to have good clean fuel. We're going to have this screen here. We're going to have this screen inside of here, and we're going to run an inline filter. So I think by the time fuel gets to the top where the motor is, we're going to be setting real good. Okay, it is to be noted on the pump that we have, I don't know if you can see it or not, there is the words in over here and the words out. We have the bracket mounted. We're going to mount this, but we're going to have to, before we mount it, put our bushing excuse me, put our bushing in here and turn it on our hose that's over on the combine. Okay, did a little work off camera. Got the fuel pump mounted here, and in here got the bushing installed and this on here. I'm not too thrilled with this line. This I think is going to leak. I don't know if you can see it there moving. We'll have to see once. If this leaks, we can put a barbed fitting in here, right here in this bushing, cut this off, put it on, put a hose clamp around it, the fastest, most expedient way. This is a good line, but I don't know, that just worries me a little bit right there. So out of here I got this plug. This is where fuel is going to go in. Going to put a barbed fitting here. Going to have an inline fuel filter and come up in here when the tank is mounted, come up into the sediment bowl. So right in here we'll have that. Should be good. This is a little low. Don't know that I'll change it. I had good success here before. The plugs come on the bottom of here, and you don't want corn stalks coming up in here, but it should be fine. I never had any trouble before on the last 300. I was looking that we could drill some holes in here, right in here, and flip it over and make the top kind of come right up in here. That would bring it up about 4 inches probably. May still do that, may not, don't know yet. But today we're moving along and getting things done. Did a lot of work off camera on some of this, on the cleaning and stuff. It's been a long day. I'm probably going to call it quits right here. And we've got to now get our hot wire and all this taped back up and brought down here. And our grounding wire, I want to get some nice connections. I don't want to just hack it on there. So I got to get some Napa connections and things and a crimping tool to get this wire connected and safely away from all the moving parts. So that's where we're at right now. So in conclusion for today, I'm wrapping up, making my notes, writing down my parts I use and part numbers. The fuel line that we used, we'll see if it's good on the end down by the pump, was a Massey number 833916M1. Don't know what that cost me. I'll have to research that. But I just thought I would let you know that. And so that's kind of cool. We were able to use an old part that we had in stock. Writing down my info, keeping track of my receipts, and we will go from there. Quick recap for the day. We have our fuel line completely installed, clamped where it was. We have it here installed and down through the combine. Of course, we have it ran through here, back behind our main Thrasher drive pulley, down and around through the saddle tank Coming around here, coming out the back behind the saddle tank and down to our fuel pump. So we have to hook up the electricity. We're going to have to focus on getting a small tank here that we can set right on these brackets. It'll hold a gallon or two. We're close to getting this unit running. The fuel tank, as I discussed, is being cleaned, but we won't reinstall that right away because we want to fix all this threshing mechanism and rebuild it back here. But that's another video. So things are coming along. We are getting close where we will have this running maybe in the next couple videos. After 2 more videos, we should be able to fire it up and have the motor work pretty well done. So like, subscribe. Thank you for watching. I hope you're enjoying it.